Hello and welcome to my review of Spider-Man PS4, a game that has received so much hype and praise recently, and honestly rightly so, because it's absolutely bloody amazing, no pun intended. Anyway, before I start fanboying out over Spider-Man for 10 minutes straight, let's actually try and go through the game with some intelligence and talk about why I think it's just so good. Spider-Man PS4 isn't just a great Spider-Man game, it's a great comic book game as well. And throughout the whole experience, it actually felt like I was living in a comic book. The story is heartfelt and emotional throughout, with various twists and turns. I'll be honest, some are more surprising than others, but all of them made Spider-Man PS4 an emotional roller coaster. Act 1 serves as a nice introduction into the universe, but Act 2 and Act 3 really kick it up a gear, and once the pace does get going, I found it hard to do side missions because I was just so enthralled with the main story. I just wanted to see how it would end. The reason that story is so good is because at the heart of it is such a great cast of characters. What really surprised me about Spider-Man PS4 is that it isn't just Spider-Man's story. Peter Parker, MJ, Miles Morales, all of the various villains, and hell, even Aunt May, they all blend together really well, even if they're not 100% accurate to their comic book counterparts. Peter is extremely likeable and funny, and by the end of the main story you really end up feeling for him. It never occurred to me that Peter needed to be as strong as Spidey himself, but it was vital, and Insomniac nailed it here. MJ feels strong and capable rather than the cliche damsel in distress, and playing as her was a really nice change of pace from swinging around the city all the time. Same goes for Miles actually, who even though he had an unnecessary change of origin which made him more like Peter Parker, he still had an incredible end credit sequence which has got me very excited for future DLCs, or maybe even a second game depending on how well this one does. As for the villains, there's plenty of them to choose in proper Spider-Man style, but Doc Ock is the clear standout. He has by far the greatest arc, and out of all of them he's the one I found empathising with the most. Even though I knew he would eventually become Doc Ock, because, come on, we all know who Otto Octavius is, his ultimate trip over the edge still shocked me for some reason, and it gave that epic final confrontation so much more depth. I don't know, I just wasn't expecting it to happen so quickly, but it was really cool when it did. Mr. Negative was also an interesting villain who looked absolutely insane. Like, seriously, he was the best looking villain in the entire game. He too had an understandable motive, but personally Doc Ock took the cake for me. I just found him to be a little bit more believable. As for the other members of the Sinister Six, I really enjoyed every single one of them. They all looked a little cartoonish, but all the Spider-Man villains have always looked like that, and hey, it's a comic book game, so it was pretty perfect for me. Some were definitely better than others, and Shocker and Vulture's fight was definitely better than Scorpion's and Rhino's, but at least Scorpion and Rhino had their own unique, cool moments, which gave them something nice to actually do in the game rather than just be cannon fodder. Wilson Fisk wasn't used as much as he possibly could have been, mainly due to his early trip to the raft at the start of the game, but he was a great introduction and I'd definitely like to see him return in the future. Finally, you've got Norman Osborn, who's kind of a villain. Yeah, he was a villain, what am I on about? Anyway, he was a pretty big driving force for the story, and I honestly like what they did with the character. They aged him well, made him a little bit older, and he was the classic sort of rich arsehole that you love to hate, and it worked beautifully. I really enjoyed his character, even though he was a bit of a dick. As for setups for future games or DLCs, I'm extremely excited for Miles Morales, and the twist with Harry Osborn that hinted to a future Green Goblin appearance at the end really got me hyped. Reminded me of the old Tobey Maguire days in the best way possible. You shut up, okay? Those films were good. Those films were my childhood! Anyway, plus the Black Cat DLC is looking to be excellent if it's half as good as the base game, and that comes out I think October 23rd, so I've already got something to be excited about. Swinging around New York City never gets old. It feels exciting and exhilarating every single time. It feels so good that whilst playing Spider-Man, I very rarely fast travelled. If an objective was 500 metres away or 3,000 metres away, I'd still make my way there the old-fashioned way because it was just so much fun. Combine that with an absolutely gorgeous New York which feels completely alive and is brimming with people to interact with and things to do, Spider-Man PS4 is a blast to play even when you're not taking on any of the supervillains. Apart from the odd miss jump, swinging is seamless and it looks cinematic as all hell, and when it did go slightly wrong it was probably down to me being crap at the game, and it certainly wasn't enough to take away from my enjoyment. It's no secret that this game probably wouldn't exist without the Arkham series, or at least it would be vastly different. And whilst this game does borrow from The Dark Knight, it makes it its own with great style. It feels different enough due to Spider-Man's unique powers to not feel like a complete rip-off, and is truly fun to experience. Stealth feels satisfying and fleshed out, and as you progress and unlock more combat upgrades and skills, you genuinely feel more powerful, and kicking various armed goons in the face gets even more fun. A big part of that fun is again just how beautiful this game looks, and how fantastic Spider-Man's animations are. He looks great all the time, and I'm running this on a regular PS4, not even a PS4 Pro. All those people that were going on about downgrades are just talking out their ass because it looks insane. I know I've already mentioned New York City, but I wanted to take a little bit more time to talk about the sheer amount of stuff there is to do in Spider-Man PS4. The fairly large map is absolutely chocked full of side objectives, collectibles, crimes to stop, mercenaries to take down, and pretty much everything in between. Seriously, you can be taking down an armoured truck full of escaped convicts 1 minute, and then collecting backpacks and pigeons the next. Yeah, you heard that right, I said pigeons. The point is, nothing feels pointless because of the progression system, which I'll get onto in a minute, and because the core elements of combat and traversal have been nailed, all of this extra stuff is just a joy to run around and complete, rather than a chore. Plenty to keep you coming back after you finish the story. The progression system in Spider-Man is pretty damn good at utilising all the game has to offer. Each side objective has its own dedicated tokens, such as base tokens for Demon or Fisk strongholds, or backpack and location tokens for, well, you guessed it, backpack and locations. Everything in the game other than skills makes use of these tokens, from new suits to suit modifiers to gadget unlocks and upgrades, and so you find yourself actually wanting to do these wide range of different side objectives in order to go for your next upgrade. And of course all of these extras give you various amounts of XP, which earns you skill points to spend in one of 3 trees: Innovator, Defender and Webslinger, and these unlock various different abilities and skills which each feel impactful and at times vital to progress through the game, especially the combat related Defender skills. They help you out a lot once the Sable security force show up later on in the game. Overall, Spider-Man PS4 is an absolute blast to play, with an incredible classic Spider-Man story to experience and tons of shit to do afterwards. This is a must-buy for the PS4 and will easily be one of the best games this year, which is honestly really saying something considering the lineup we have this year. Guys, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed, hit that like button, and if you want to see more, hit that subscribe button. Should be way more gaming videos coming soon to the channel, so look forward to that, and I will catch you next time.